Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Curiosity Monkey podcast. We are back after a little break of a few months, and today I'm with Pat. So hello, welcome back to the podcast. You've been on a few times before.
Yeah, I think it's my third time on the podcast. It's been a minute. I think, when was it, like last year I was last on it?
Last year, what you did, should animals have wheels, or why don't animals have wheels? We ate some chili peppers on one.
Oh yeah, that one. That
Carolina
was
Reapers.
horrendous. I think that's what we've done. So third podcast, but good to be back on here.
Yep. So today we're going to be talking about relationships between human and artificial intelligence, or smart thinking robots.
I know, it's such a crazy subject. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. So if you've been online at all in the last 5 years, you'll have noticed that AI is improved so much, and people are integrating it into their lives. People are using it day to day. Companies are using it to just make themselves more efficient. Regular people using it to make their work more efficient and better. And so it's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean it's become such a cliche almost just to talk about like AI. I think people are going on how it is going to change our lives, but it really is. I think and I think it's already starting to have a much bigger effect than we realise. I think 10 years, life could be very, very different. I think it's going to be bigger than smartphones in terms of changing our life. Yeah, which is going to be crazy.
It's crazy to think it's less than 20 years ago since the release of the first iPhone, which was 2007.
And now we are all addicted to reels and have no attention span. Yeah, and cannot socialise anymore.
But that took, for smartphones to really, really take off, it took a good few years. But it was only, I think it was early 2023 when ChatGPT started to properly take off?
Yeah, 2023 or something like that was when I first used it. And yeah, it's just massive now. All the big companies have new AIs and it's all the rage. I don't know.
So yeah, a little over 2 years ago is when I first kind of stumbled across it, and at the time it was I felt it was pretty impressive. You just type things and it would come back with responses, and it seemed to remember what you were talking about previously, which, say, if you were talking to Siri, well, I don't think it really remembered what you were talking about before, so you couldn't have a conversation with it. But this was different, and fast forward to now, back then, I couldn't use it for anything useful. It was kind of just funny and get it to write stupid poems, and now it seems to got a lot better.
Yeah.
Logical reasoning, for instance, it just seems to work a lot better than it did then.
So I think if you're a computer programmers these days use just AI for everything, and they can get they can be 3 or 4 times more efficient because they don't even need to code anymore. They type prompts into AI. I think for a lot of logical but quite simple tasks, AI can just be crazy good and crazy efficient and really help out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've used it for debugging code because it can be so frustrating. You have many lines of code, and you could just have one little error which could just be a typo, and you could spend hours trying to work out what it is, and then you could just copy and paste the section of code into ChatGPT and ask for where the problem is, and you can fix it just like that. And yeah, it's pretty amazing for productivity.
But yeah, anyway, I feel like a bit off topic here because you guys all know what AI is doing nowadays. But the real thing we're gonna get into in this episode is, can AI replace people in a relationship? And in a lot of ways, it's already starting to. People have AI girlfriends. There's the AI Snapchat bots, which I think people use, and it's kind of scary. Recently, if I'm going on Instagram, there are loads of memes about in 50 years, there'll be robosexuals, and we'll be the generation which is seen as really robophobic, and all that stuff. And I think to me, I think it's weird, being in a relationship with a robot, but I can't see anything. I can't make a moral argument against it, which is kind of a scary thing. I don't know. Is it all right? Do you think, Fergus?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, as you say, there's nothing really to say like this is objectively a bad thing, because if you're not, it's not your relationship. It's nothing to do with you really, and it's not harming anyone else, really. But it does seem that people are increasingly going down the way of relationships with AI. We were looking online on Reddit just to see like examples of where this was happening, and there are so many, like, everywhere.
Yeah, I went into a really deep internet rabbit hole a bit ago. I was showing Fergus. There was this AI bot called Replica, and basically, you know, it's a few years older then, and people just have fallen in love with it. It's very interesting. You see all these stories of people who basically are clearly like quite emotionally unstable, and, you know, have had probably troubles in past relationships before, but they find this AI chatbot, and to them it's better than a person, and they're fully in love with this chatbot. And there's actually like it was shutting down recently, and there's a lot of trouble with that, or just like not being able to, you know, be sexual and talk dirty to people, which I think everyone was really upset about that. But yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah,
because imagine falling in love with an AI girlfriend or boyfriend, and developing a really deep connection, supposedly, and then it just shuts down, or the website gets taken offline. That's just gone forever. Like, is that like a person dying? Does it feel like that? I'm not really sure. I haven't been in this situation.
Because like it's already happened to thousands of people, and it's like it's very clear that you can fall in love with a robot. Like, it's not a myth anymore. It's something that has actually happened, and people do. And I don't know. I think it's a genuine possibility that like in 50 years it'd be very common to be in a relationship with an AI, because it's like they're never going to disagree with you. They're never going to be difficult emotionally, you know. Like, in a way, yeah, they're a lot easier to get on with than a person.
Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because to me, like, the idea of being very, very agreeable and just basically being a perfect person for someone. I don't know. I think you can customize them, presumably, so they have personality that perfectly matches yours. They probably agree with you all the time. I don't know if they have an image. Presumably, they have some kind of like AI generated picture of themselves. I don't know how this works, to be honest. But like, this is not. It's nothing like reality, and humans are not perfect. And if you are friends or are in a relationship with a human, they're not always going to be agreeable, and you're going to have to compromise in many situations. And this doesn't seem to be the case in terms of an AI relationship, because they are just kind of perfect. And how does this, like, if someone's been in several AI relationships and then wants to be in a human relationship, will this kind of affect their ability to form it, because their expectations just so high now that they just can't do it?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. Like, I think, like, you look right now, I think it's mostly people who are really like struggling mentally, who are in relationships with robots. But I think that will change, and I think it's difficult. It's difficult to see what will happen. You know, if every person has a relationship with an AI and, you know, it goes well, like, what could happen to the world? It genuinely could be a massive impact on the future. And so what will we do for kids as well as a question? What will we do about the population? If everyone's got an AI girlfriend who they're just happy with, who's going to be having kids?
Yeah, but maybe there'll be a way to just create them artificially.
With your AI.
Kid with your AI.
That's going to happen, isn't it? You're going to have, like, your mum's a human, your dad's an AI.
Oh, and then, I don't know, you'd have to somehow, like, print the genetics or...
they'll figure out a way. They will. Yeah, one thing I really want to talk about is, I mean, it's kind of like a quite deep philosophical question, but it's like, is an AI able to think in the same way as a human? Because I think it's actually not very clear what the limit is with AI. I mean, what do you think, Fergus?
I wouldn't claim to know a ton on this topic, but I know the human brain is very complicated. But also AI, the way AIs are trained is like neural networks kind of thing. Maybe not exactly like the brain, but trying to kind of act in the same way of like synapses and neurons within the brain.
I mean, like, yeah, basically, like, because I study like neuroscience and like AI, and so they basically, the way AI is designed is kind of to mimic the brain in a lot of ways. It works in the same way as the brain in that we have artificial neurons. I was looking at I was told about something which is actually really cool, which is maybe a topic for another podcast, but they basically are designing a computer with actual brain cells in it.
I've seen this, yeah, I've seen this.
And it's actually like, people just did it as an experiment at first, but it's turning out that it actually has some very interesting properties and could be very useful to have actual neural cells in a computer. Which I feel like even further blurs the line between what is the computer, what is a man. You know, it's scary.
Yeah, can you properly differentiate between a computational, well, in quotes here, way of thinking and a person's way of thinking? Because
I mean, it works in the same way in a lot of ways. I mean, it depends. I believe in a soul. This is getting all like religious and all like deeply philosophical, but it depends whether you believe in a soul and whether you believe computers can have souls and whether people have souls. But I don't know. I think there's no. I don't think computers right now are conscious, whereas I think people are conscious. So I think that's a difference. But it's I don't know. It's a difficult one to wrap your head around a bit.
And is that a problem? Say, if you are forming a relationship with an AI, is it a problem if they aren't conscious and they don't necessarily love you back, or at least definitely not in the same way as humans can love each other?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I can't find any actual true moral reasons why this is wrong. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And maybe, you know, yeah, in 50 years, we will be the generation who's not accepting of the thing. This will be the same as being, you know, transphobic in this generation. We'll be, yeah, the robophobes who don't accept human AI relationships. But maybe that will become a very accepted thing.
Well, this could happen potentially a lot earlier, because it seems that AI, or at least investment in AI, has gone up tons in the last 5 years. The ability for them to perform in different tests, like the different language tests, for instance, they can outperform humans. And so in a few years, maybe not that long, they'll just become so much more advanced and potentially be able to form kind of human-like dialogue with people. Like, they're pretty good now. If you're talking to them, you can have a conversation, but you can tell it's not a human.
Well, have you had a conversation with an AI girlfriend yet?
Not an AI girlfriend, but just general ChatGPT, you know, random conversations. But then again, they're probably not programmed to talk exactly like a human.
Yeah.
But in the past, people have kind of predicted that humans might form relationships with robots, or may have the ability to. There was this film called Her, which came out in 2013, and AI wasn't like massive back then. And
so there's also the like idea that it's not just going to be an AI, but an actual physical robot. Like right now, people are in love with chatbots, basically, not actual physical things. But yeah, I think actual robotics technology is a bit behind. It's probably closer than we think to having an actual physical robot girlfriend.
And there are also examples just like much more primitive technologies that people are falling in love with, like different video game characters. I think there was an example of some sort of famous case where someone married some video game character.
That's been happening for years, but yeah. I mean, that's also the question of like social isolation. You know, I think like people are already much less social than they were like 30 years ago, even though they're more connected, because just the internet kind of takes that away in a lot of ways.
It's strange, because you would expect, well, we've got massive increase in communications between people all over the world, and yet people seem to be more lonely. So that's strange. And if this is the case, then will AI girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, or friends, doesn't have to be.
Will it just be AI friends as well? Will people, because like people are difficult. Like, you can make an AI just be agreeable and not difficult. What if all your friends and family are just AI? Like, people are very rare, and most people in society are just AI robots who get on with everyone. What if that's a possibility? Maybe I'm going too far into the, like, crazy future Black Mirror routes, but I don't see a reason it wouldn't happen. I think people would quite like that, having girlfriends or friends who always agree with them and always hype them up and never addict. Like, I think people would enjoy that very much, so... yeah, who knows?
And if you already had a partner and you decided to get an AI partner, is this classed as cheating? I'm guessing so.
I think so, yeah. I don't know. I don't think Holly would be that happy if you went off with some AI. Like,
yeah, I don't think so either.
I think probably.
I guess if you're doing it as a joke, it's completely different to if you're running off with an AI.
That's how it starts. You start off as a joke, and then you're like, "Ooh, actually."
Actually, yeah. To be fair, in these posts we're reading, it all started. A lot of them were like, "Oh yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to see what it was like," and then they actually formed attachment. Could this be useful for there's people with like severe social anxiety, maybe helping them kind of get out of that? Maybe you can use some form of AI chatbot to help improve your confidence with talking to people.
Very, very possibly. Like, I don't really see why not, to be honest. The more I think about it is the more I think, right, if we get AI girlfriends, don't have any kids, and just like the human race dies out because of that, then animals can be happy, right? They're saving the planet. No more climate change, no more humans destroying everything.
Yeah, but that's not great for
way to go.
Not great for any humans, really. You have like severe, like massive old age population, and then no one to support them, and then there's no food. There's no one to work for any kind of services, and so everything dies out of starvation, whatever. It's not great unless you create some kind of completely automated systems that just do everything for you. To me, it sounds a bit dystopian, a bit of an apocalypse. Honestly,
do you think you could have robot kids? We're talking about right, having, if you have if you get married to a robot, you'd have a human kid. But what if you have a robot kid with them? Do you think that has happened as well? People have robot kids,
like creating some kind of new, fresh robot consciousness.
Well, yeah, that people, instead of having human children, have AI children.
How would that? Would every new robot kid be, or AI kid be exactly the same initially, and then they kind of get trained differently depending on the experiences, or is there some kind of variation in your initial like starting point?
I don't know. I think it would be like mimicking human kids in a way.
So it's like some natural variation in like what they start out like, and then because like if a baby, it's like, what's an AI baby? Like, a baby can't talk.
Maybe this one was a bit of a stretch. Maybe this idea didn't make so much sense. I don't know. I'm kind of chatting out my arse a bit, but I also think it's really interesting just to think what could possibly happen. Because, like, yeah, I think, like if you said to someone 30 years ago, everyone would just chat to each other on their phone by messaging all the time, and no one would talk in person, I think people wouldn't believe you. But I think the way people socialise has changed so much, and why can't it keep changing? Why can't people start socialising with AI now if it makes them happier and is easier to talk to?
I'd argue, yeah, you just want to be quite careful, because again, with that rise in people online and connected via phones, people are lonelier, and despite massive increases in like the ability to communicate. So I think sometimes we're not like really as the human race programmed to be on our phones, and we're definitely not programmed to be talking to AIs or on internet all the time. But if it can
mimic human behaviour, surely that can lead to, like, if it'll mimic human behaviour so well that it feels human.
But that's different though, because in these cases, they are very agreeable. They are setting unrealistic expectations because they're basically perfect match for you. And so that's not like a human. It's not really mimicking. So maybe if you created if like, the chatbots of the future were more like humans, so you could have potential arguments with them or disagree on some things, and they have their own personality that doesn't perfectly match yours, but that's just how it goes with humans. And you can still have very interesting conversations and have good relationships there. And maybe that can happen again with robots and chatbots.
Yeah, disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm gonna fall in love with a robot. I think it's weird. I think it's really weird. I am a robophobe to my core, sadly.
I feel that there are also benefits here, because say if you take the elderly, there's a lot of very, very lonely people in the elderly population, and some of them have different diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, or they are in a care home, and these chatbots could potentially form some kind of tailored friendship. Because
actually thinking about that, yeah, my granny is, her husband's died. She's kind of got a bit of dementia. She's living in an old age home. I feel like if she had an AI companion, she might be happier, and I don't think there'd be anything morally wrong with that.
No, because here, like, if someone's in a situation where they do have Alzheimer's, then you can't properly form like friendships in the same way as someone who doesn't. So you kind of maybe need that slight tailored friendship, because there's a lot of repetition, and for like someone who's not suffering with that, it can be very stressful to take care of them.
I think the conclusion could be that for the old people and for vulnerable people, maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe, this is going to be what the future's going to be like, and maybe it's a bit weird, but maybe it can help some people. We don't know what the social impact of it could be, but I think it's very likely to be a big social impact of the future. Like, I think, I see it happening. To be honest, I see it becoming bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you see any future where this doesn't happen, Fergus, or do you think?
No, I think. Well, 3 years ago, if you asked me about AI and if it will be useful or just prominent in the next few years, then I would say no. I haven't used it at all. There's not really. Maybe there's some like small AI integrated into different services online, but then ChatGPT properly got released, and since then there's been so many different AIs just across the internet doing different things, and that's only 3 years time. It's just crazy how much things have changed. And so I think 10 years time you've got this kind of exponential growth almost, and the amount of funding is massively increased, especially in the US. So yeah, it's crazy. You have no idea really where things will be. So it's definitely possible. But whether that's a world you want to live in or not, then that's up for debate, certainly.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We might be the last generation of people who are just like living in nature. And I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there'll be hermits who will stay out of the AI stuff, and
Well, I think there'll be a big pushback.
There'll be a big pushback, I'm sure.
Because right now, like, we weren't sure about how damaging phones would be. We weren't really aware. Like, they kind of came onto the scene fairly quickly, slower than AI, to be fair, but still quite quickly. In 20 years, there have been massive improvements in like communications technology, Wi-Fi, internet, phones, computers. So everyone uses them. Like podcasts, people are listening to things on podcasts. And so, yeah, people are just connected online. But now people are definitely realizing there are downsides. The downsides to excessive use of social media.
Yeah.
And so I reckon people will be more cautious with different technologies because, yeah, there will be downsides for sure. And I can from people around me that there is pushback to being on your phone. Like, people are consciously trying to get off their phone, get off social media, setting app timer limits so they don't spend the day on phone. And so that pushback is, I think, a positive thing. It's like kind of self-regulation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that the next generation maybe will like be a bit more aware of the problems with it. Like, I think if I have kids, I wouldn't want them to have phones from a young age. You know, I feel like being raised on the internet as like an iPad kid is probably quite damaging in a lot of ways. And I'm very grateful. You know, I when I grew up, I spent a lot of time outdoors, like playing in the woods and stuff. And I feel like that's a great thing to do as a kid. I feel like you need that.
So what's the takeaway? We basically have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, no one does. It's like, yeah, I feel like this has been a very speculative podcast episode. You know, it's not very scientific. We're just talking about potential ideas, what's happening in the future. No one really knows, to be honest. But I think they're legitimate issues. I think this is a legitimate issue that could happen, and we don't really know what the effects of it could be. Like, yeah.
You'll probably see more and more of these AI personalities, whatever. I don't know what you're meant to call them.
Yeah, brace yourself for the AI invasion. I don't think you guys have seen anything yet with AI. I think it's gonna be forced into our lives, if whether we like it or not. You know.
Okay, so I think that's everything for this episode of the Curiosity Monkey podcast. I hope you enjoyed. You may not agree, or you may agree with the stuff we're saying. That's perfectly fine. If you can provide feedback at thecuriositymonkey1@gmail.com, or I think there's now some online form you can fill out to provide feedback or episode suggestions.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you think. I'll be very interested. I think different people have very different opinions on this. Honestly, we're not. This is just kind of a casual conversation of what we think may be the effects or the positive or the downsides. Some people will definitely disagree with us, and that's completely fine. So that's everything for this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.